The picture you're watching is live. It's what's happening at this moment on a tiny pinpoint on the map of the United States, the North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. This is a big day for the people of this tiny crossroads. It's the day of the Grand National Stock Car Race. That day in the springtime when the famous stock car racers of the country descend from the super speedways, from Daytona and Talladega, from Darlington and Charlotte and Atlanta, and come to the little 5/8 of a mile track here in North Wilkesboro. The race has already passed the halfway point, and here is the way they stand. The leader is number 43, Richard Petty, a hero in this part of the country. In second place, number 98 is Leroy Yarborough, then number 71, Bobby Isaac, and 27, Donnie Allison. That's the way they stand at this moment in North Wilkesboro. There's the leader, Richard Petty. Car number 43. Good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay. You know, the world of automobile racing is about the broadest of all the worlds of sport that we cover here on Wide World. It stretches from the Indianapolis Speedway to the streets of Monte Carlo, from the Mount Fuji circuit in Japan to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Working with us on this race today will be our constant colleague in automobile racing, the editor of National Speed Sport News, Chrissy Kanamaki. How do you like the race?
Well, Jim, it looks like Richard Petty's going to have a big day here. He started 16th and at 52 laps was leading, and since then has put a lap on the field, and somebody's going to have to go some to beat Richard Petty today.
All right, our man at trackside this afternoon, working down in the pit, will be Bob Montgomery. You down there, Bob?
I'll tell you, down here in the pit, things are really happening. Everything is going well with Richard Petty, but Donnie Allison has been riding on 7 cylinders since the 5th lap of this race. Junior Johnson says his car is running fine and he should be in the lead. But it's Richard Petty who's in the lead. There's still some discussion down in Bobby Allison's pits right here, whether or not they will team to cooperate on his automobile on the next caution flag. Now back to you, Jim McKay.
Okay, Bob, and so we've reached another stop on Wide World of Sports as we continue spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, the human drama of athletic competition. This, as always, is ABC's Wide World of Sport. Brought to you today by Sears Tire and Auto Center, where you'll find a complete line of quality tires and die-hard batteries with extra starting power. By Weyerhaeuser, the company that's working on tomorrow's ideas in pulp, paper, packaging, lumber, plywood, and other building materials. And by Lincoln National Life Insurance Company. Get complete financial planning for life, health, accident, annuities, group, and pension, all under the Lincoln hat. The action will continue at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, live in a minute.
The tantalizing fragrance of Palmolive Rapid Shave smells so good, you won't want to shave it off.
Smells so good, you won't want to shave it off. Rapid Shave, you won't want to shave it off.
Palmolive Rapid Shave in juicy lime, tingling menthol mint, and the fresh wake-up fragrance of regular.
Shave it off. Smells so good, you won't want to shave it off.
How does a young father protect his family with life insurance now, and later on get back the money paid in premiums? The answer is with Allstate's money-back life insurance. It covers you with $5,000 or $10,000 of insurance until you're 65, then refunds all the money you paid in premiums, less payment fees, if any. Talk to the Good Hands people about money-back life insurance. You're in good hands with Allstate.
We're back again in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where the standings remain the same in this 250-mile or 400-lap race on this 5/8 of a mile track. The leader, number 43, is Richard Petty. In second place, number 98, Leroy Yarborough. Number 71 is Bobby Isaac, and number 27 is Donnie Allison. However, of those leaders, only Richard Petty is on the same lap with himself. One lap behind are two cars. Leroy Yarborough right there in car number 98, and Bobby Isaac in car number 71. 2 laps down is number 27, Donnie Allison. After that, another lap further back is number 48, James Hilton, and then another lap further back still, number 32, Dick Brooks. This is the leader, Richard Petty, that you're looking at in car number 43, about to lap number 71, Bobby Isaac, yet again, and that puts Isaac 2 laps down to the leader. It means that Petty's on 1 lap, Leroy Yarborough's on another lap, and Bobby Isaac now on yet another lap. However, that isn't as far behind as it sounds, because as I pointed out, this is only a 5/8 of a mile track. Now, it takes them about 23 seconds to go around here. A pit stop conceivably could take longer than that without being too tough a pit stop. So that means that on 1 short pit stop, you could lose a lap. If the leader does that, then he's right back again with car number 98, Leroy Yarborough. So, Chris, we can see a lot of things yet.
The race was without a yellow flag, Jim, until about the 113th lap when debris on the track brought out the yellow, and it was very opportune for the participants because none had made a routine pit stop up to that point, and it was just about time. So when that yellow came out, all of the leading drivers came into the pits and got a free one, so to speak, and got back out. Petty lost his lap by a few
Excuse me,
feet
Chris,
to
just a moment.
drivers.
Just a moment. We're getting an interval timing here. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Between first and second place cars. The first place car is Richard Petty, remember, car number 43. Second place is Leroy Yarborough in car number 98. He said it takes about 23 seconds or thereabout to make a normal lap of this track at the speeds they're going. 18.1 seconds is the difference, so we'll have to add that to a full lap.
I'm getting close to another full lap, Jim. The battle is between the brands. Petty drives for Plymouth this year, and in second place, down a lap, Leroy Yarborough in a 1970 Ford. We have a 70 model car first and a 70 model car in second place, where Isaac's number 71 is a year-old Dodge Charger. Donnie Allison, at number 27, who lies 4th, 2 laps off the pace, is in another 1970 Ford, while Hilton, at number 48, 3 laps back in 5th place, is in a 1969 Ford.
Again, we're looking at Richard Petty, the leader in car number 43, and he sure has experience on this track. As a matter of fact, he has raced more than 5,000 laps on this track. That's better than 2,500 miles.
You know, people may think that because the speeds aren't way up in the 170, 80, and 90 mile an hour mark here, that it's not a difficult track to drive, but perhaps it's difficult physically more so than the big speedways. The steering wheel has to be twisted almost lock to lock going in, and for every lap a driver takes here, he must use the brakes twice, entering the first and entering the third turns, and in a 400-lap race, that's 800 brake applications.
Again, if you've just joined us, we're watching live on Wide World of Sports this afternoon, a 250-mile race. And there is 27, Donnie Allison, going into the pits.
It's a costly pit stop under the green. They're checking the right side tires. Banjo Matthews, the crew chief on that, and they've got the hood up. Now, whether this means trouble, apparently they're changing the front end setting on the right front corner of the car.
One of the crew also crawled inside the automobile, Chris.
Well, this is more than a need for gas.
There he is getting out now.
They're not changing tires. You can see, been in the pits for better than 30 seconds. And they're spinning wheels and going out. And this, of course, could spell disaster for Donnie Allison and the Banjo Matthews pit crew.
But Donnie Allison, who is in 4th place, has now lost another lap to the leader, number 43, Richard Petty. If you've just joined us, the way the race began was with Bobby Isaac sitting on the pole and the leader here, Richard Petty, way back in 16th starting position. That was because on the first day of qualifying, which was Thursday here, he had an engine problem and was not able to qualify. He had to qualify yesterday, and that put him in no better than 16th starting position. However, after 1 lap of this race, he had moved from 16th to 9th. After 2 laps, had gone to 7th place, and after 52 laps, he was in the lead. He lapped the 5th place car on lap 70, had a half a lap lead on Leroy Yarborough, who was in 2nd place then by lap 78. So that's the way it's going here as we continue our live coverage of the Grand National Stock Car Race, 250 miles, 400 laps, here at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
This 747, Phil, it must have cost TWA a pretty penny.
Ah, they've come a long way. Do you recall what we flew on back in 35?
Yeah, we were pioneers.
In the hardware business, they used to call us the Young Eagles. Let's look around. On this plane, you can choose your own time to eat. Observe.
On the DC-3, we were happy with a ham sandwich.
And 2 tangerines.
I never got a tangerine.
Rudy, a choice of 2.
Come on!
Of 2
Get out of the way!
different movies.
Jerry, would you look at that man?
On the old tri-motor, all we had to look at were mailbags. A touch of the bubbly. Phil, air travel has really made you a bon vivant.
Our new 747. Somehow, you feel more important on TWA.
Again, we return to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. This is Jim McKay reporting with Chris Economaki and Bob Montgomery. There are the leaders. Number 43, Richard Petty, on a lap all by himself. One lap behind is number 98, Leroy Yarbrough. Another lap back, number 27, Donnie Allison. And then Bobby Isaac, number 71. That's the way they stand. There is Donnie Allison in car number 27, his bright red car. However, and there he goes, Donnie Allison, up against the wall. And watch out for other cars, all getting around him safely as he comes backwards towards the pit area. Donnie Allison apparently blowing an engine, Chris.
Whatever it was, it developed right on camera, Jim, and that pit stop that he had a few moments ago apparently was an indication of trouble to come. And it came for Donnie Allison, a tough break for him. He's backing the car now down into pit lane on this very short 5/8 mile speedway here at North Wilkesboro. The yellow flag is out, and this means that the other drivers who are due for pit stops will start filling up pit lane now. In fact, in comes the first of those cars into pit lane.
Okay, that's number 39 coming in, Friday Hassler of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
There's our leader.
And there is Richard Petty into the pits right now, timing on this pit stop. That accident happened at lap 240 of 400 laps. It's only the second yellow flag of the day, and each time there's been a yellow flag, it's just about been the ultimate time for pit stops. Again, there is Donnie Allison with what's left of the front part of his automobile, his 1970 Ford. The time on the pit stop is for Richard Petty still, and there he comes, a 24-second pit stop for Richard Petty. We have slow motion of the accident to Donnie Allison. We'll take a look at that now. Here it comes, Chris.
Well, you see that whatever it was that affected the handling of the car, you can see smoke coming out underneath the bottom of it. And now the car starting into the turn there. It apparently was an engine problem, and it could be that he got down in his own oil, entering the turn, going by Jabe Thomas in car number 20. Now the back end starts to go wide. The brakes are on. The left front tire smokes as the tire rubs against the paving, and the right rear corner catches the steel guardrail and brings the front end back around again. Now he's got all four wheels locked up, wrenching the steering wheel to the left to try and control the car away from the rail as Don Tarr goes by number 37. And spinning back off the track, it was a gentle nudge. You can see the right rear corner of the car seriously damaged there, and Allison coolly controls the car out of the way of the oncoming competitors and gets it down on the inside row. Right there, G.C. Spencer goes to come by and is in the pits now.
And again, this is a live picture from North Wilkesboro, and there is the car of Donnie Allison. The two cars that seem to be in the most trouble when he was spinning or in danger of hitting him were Dr. Don Tarr, as you mentioned, and number 19, Henley Gray, both of whom did a good job of avoiding a further crash. That's the first yellow flag today, by the way, that has been because of a crash. The other one that we had was caused by a can of some sort on the track. The yellow flag still out before a good crowd in the farmland outside North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, on a beautiful spring afternoon. We'll be back in a minute.
When Sears set out to bring you a better tire, we designed all kinds of fiberglass tires and put them through all kinds of tests to find the ones that would stay stronger longer. We tested them for toughness. We tested them for mileage and came up with the tires that stayed stronger longer. Dynaglass tires, with 2 fiberglass belts and a choice of 2 or 4 tough body plies. Dynaglass tires, only at Sears.
If you think your car is hard to start on a cold, damp morning, try one with 500 horses. It can quickly drain a racing battery, but we're using a Sears Die Hard to prove the Die Hard has extra starting power to start your car when most batteries won't. Get the Die Hard. Sold only at Sears.
We return to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. There is the leader in this 250-mile, 400-lap race, Richard Petty in car number 43. Second place, number 98, Leroy Yarbrough. Third place, number 71, Bobby Isaac. And in fourth place now, number 48, James Hilton. That came about because of the crash to Donnie Allison, who had been in fourth position. A little bit earlier today, Bob Montgomery, who's working in the pits for us this afternoon, talked with Richard Petty about a subject that I think will be of interest at this time.
Richard, when you're leading the race, what thoughts are in your mind?
Well, when you're leading the race, it's according to what time in the race that it's according to what things on your mind. At the beginning of the race, you wonder if you're running too hard or not hard enough, or just where your equipment will last. Along in the middle of the race, you just sort of float along and wait for the last of the race to happen. Then at the last of the race, if you're leading, you wonder if the man behind you is catching you, or whether you got another pit stop to make, or whether you're going to have trouble or something like this. So as the race progresses and as the competition gets worse or better, then this is according to what you're doing is what on your mind.
Okay, well, there you heard it, the comments of Richard Petty conjecturing earlier today what he might be thinking at this point in the race if he was ahead. And he is in first place. One more pit stop must be taken by all of these cars, at least one more, and that'll come quite late in the race the way things look now. We're at about the 250 lap mark out of 400 with the yellow flag still out because of the crash after the blown engine by Donnie Allison.
It's an important race for Petty. Jim, he's trying for the national championship for himself and for Plymouth. He's won twice this year in 9 starts, raising his career victories to 103. And for those people who are interested in finances, before too many weeks go by, he will have won in his career $750,000. There's a quick pit stop, that time 15 and a fraction seconds for Richard Petty, getting back into the action. The track is still being swept up, so to speak. The oil and debris left by Allison's car hitting the rail is being tidied up by the attendants.
And remember that all he has to do to take a pit stop under the yellow here and maintain his position is get back out there again before the pace car comes around, and that he did with ease. A 15-second stop, and it's taking him, 35 seconds or so to get around under the yellow.
Petty comes fully prepared to these events. He has standing by to take over his car in the pit should he become fatigued. The sun was very bright earlier in the day, and it was quite hot. It's a bit cloudy now, and it's cooled off. But he had Pete Hamilton, the Daytona and Talladega 500 winner, standing by to relieve him if he felt it necessary, something no other driver has.
A look from overhead right now. The standings, Richard Petty in first place all by himself, but there has been a change in the standings on these pit stops. Bobby Isaac, number 71, has taken over second place and is 1 lap behind Richard Petty. In third place, and now 2 laps behind, is Leroy Yarborough in car number 98, and in fourth place on the same lap with Leroy is number 48, James Hilton of Inman, South Carolina. But there's the leader, Richard Petty, who, as Chris indicated, is the leader also in this year's chase for the Grand National NASCAR Championship. That involves some 50 races in the course of the season. And the points garnered here count just as much as the points at the Super Speedway. We'll be back in a minute.
If you're a renter, don't underestimate the value of all your belongings. Suppose you left the price tags on everything you own: furniture, clothing, appliances. A big investment, right? To protect it, Allstate has insurance specially designed for renters. It's low-cost protection against loss from fire, theft. It even has liability coverage. Allstate Renters Insurance. Talk to the good hands people. You're in good hands with Allstate.
The tantalizing fragrance of Palmolive Rapid Shave smells so good, you won't want to shave it off.
Smells so good, you won't want to shave it off. Rapid Shave, you won't want to shave it off.
Palmolive Rapid Shave in juicy lime, tingling menthol mint, and the fresh wake-up fragrance of regular.
Shave it off. Smells so good, you won't want to shave it off. Smells so good.
The FBI moves against hijackers tomorrow night on ABC.
We're in the little crossroads town of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, coming to you live this afternoon on ABC's Wide World of Sports. We have a 400-lap NASCAR stock race here, and the leader is car number 43, Richard Petty. In second place is that car, number 98, driven by Leroy Yarborough. And the news here is that in the last-minute maneuvering and pit stops under the yellow flag, Leroy got back on the same lap with Richard Petty. The green flag out now, but we have two cars on the same lap for the first time since we came on the air at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. There's news in the pits. Let's go down to Bob Montgomery. Bob?
Right alongside is Donnie Allison, and the caution flag was caused by your automobile. Donnie, what happened?
Well, they fixed the ignition finally. I had ignition trouble from about the fifth lap. They fixed it. Then I got down the corner a little bit too hard. I got the right rear against the wall and punctured a tire. And when I run down in debris, I spun.
Donnie, how about the racetrack today?
Well, it was real good for me. I mean, I was running as fast as anybody, just like I was, but I just couldn't run faster until I got the ignition fixed. Then I had that goof up, and that's it.
Donnie Allison of Uniontown, Alabama, he had trouble from the fifth lap until finally he had to come out of the race. Now back to you, Jim.
Okay, Bob, thanks very much. The leader, Richard Petty, number 43, now moving up again on Leroy Yarborough in car number 98 to attempt to lap him and get on the lap all by himself again. There's Petty. A new rule in NASCAR this year, the side windows must be completely left out of the automobile. So these men are in a terrific noise situation, not only the noise of the other cars to hear and of their own engine, but also the tremendous wind noise, because they're averaging on this comparatively small racetrack almost 100 miles an hour. The average for the race over 97 miles an hour, which is quite good. Excellent. Number 71, the red car there. Oh, just out of your picture now. Right there. That's Bobby Isaac, who is in third position at the moment, one lap behind. He was on the pole, set a new qualifying record here 2 days ago. And there's the leader again, moving up on both Isaac and number 98, the second place car, and trying to take him. Right now, Richard Petty, number 43, the blue car, if you're watching in color, is right alongside the second place car, trying to gain a lap on him. And there he goes. Petty now one full lap ahead of Leroy Yarborough in car number 98. Good racing right now between these two cars. Remember, there's a lap between them, but one pit stop of 23 seconds could change all that if Richard Petty would have to take such a stop. The yellow flags have been few and far between this afternoon, only two in the entire race. The average speed has now gone up, somewhat unbelievably, to 98.397, and there's another spin. Wendell Scott, number 34. Wendell Scott of Danville, Virginia, and immediately the yellow flag comes out. Wendell is the only Negro driver who regularly drives the NASCAR circuit. He's been at it for many years, 48 years old, and last year finished 9th in the Grand National point standings. Earned some $27,000, but right now it looks like Wendell may have had it for the day.
The pit lane, Jim, looks like a track meet with Wendell's crew running down there to see what's wrong with their man. Tough break for Wendell, as you can see, walking out in front of the car. There's an expensive proposition with one of these engine blows, anywhere from $3,500 to $6,000. And again, the yellow flag is out because of the oil left by Wendell's car on the track.
Okay, so the yellow flag is out for the third time this afternoon at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. There's more action to come.
This is Wally Weber, building inspector. Tough, demanding, unyielding when it comes to quality. This is Weyerhaeuser lumber, straight, true. Weyerhaeuser siding, durable. Weyerhaeuser paneling, beautiful. And Weyerhaeuser plywood in new flooring systems, glued, nailed, strong, and quiet. Weyerhaeuser, the building materials company.
The yellow flag is still out at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, as our live coverage continues. A reminder here that tomorrow on ABC will feature the important fourth game in the NBA Eastern Division Championship Series between the New York Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks. This series currently stands at 2-1 in favor of New York. However, the Bucks beat them last night, so things are closing up there. Milwaukee must win tomorrow, of course, if they hope to remain within striking distance for the title. Should this series between the Knicks and the Bucks go to a 6th or 7th game, by the way, we'll bring you primetime coverage on Wednesday night and Friday night on ABC. Game number 6 is scheduled for Wednesday night in Milwaukee and will be on the air beginning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time if this game is necessary. Then, if the series requires a 7th and final game, it'll be played in New York's Madison Square Garden beginning at 7:30 Eastern Time on Friday night, so be sure to keep abreast of this series. Should these games occur, ABC will bring them to you live and in color. Right now, you're looking at card number 71. That's Bobby Isaac, who sat on the pole when this race began, and who is currently in 3rd place, 1 lap behind the leader. 264 laps have gone by out of 400. The weather continues perfect, a beautiful spring afternoon, the first picnic of the season for the people down here. There's Wendell Scott getting his car out of the way, or being towed out of the way. Let's go down for an interview in the pits now with Bob Montgomery.
Standing alongside is Maurice Petty, the brother of Richard Petty. Maurice, I notice you've just given Richard a signal to pit before the green goes back out. What's the strategy here?
Well, if he'll run 4 or 5 more laps, we can make it the rest of the way on this pit stop.
You mean you won't have to come back in before the race is over?
That's right.
And how's the automobile doing? Have you had any problems?
No, it's been running real good right now, if it just continues to run good.
These are the boys who've won here 5 times at North Wilkesboro. Maurice Petty says everything's okay. They're going to bring him in and hope to go the distance without another pit stop. Now back to you, Jim.
Okay, well, we're right up to the minute on that story then. And again, you're still looking at Bobby Isaac. The yellow flag is still out as Wendell Scott's car is still being continued to be towed. There's Isaac going back out on the track again. Bobby Isaac is very good at winning pole positions. He won a tremendous number, I think about 20 last year in NASCAR races. He held the pole winning record here, and then 2 days ago shattered it himself, averaging more than 107 miles an hour here on Thursday, the first day of qualifying. But the leader in the race is Richard Petty, who's very good at winning races. Here's a pit stop on timing on Richard's pit stop. This was a quick one, as you heard his brother Maurice predict, 9.4 seconds. And he said that he thinks he can go all the way.
Well, this puts Leroy Yarborough, Jim, now on the same lap, though just a few feet ahead of Richard Petty. And Richard is trying to work his way back into line according with the rules. He's supposed to join the field at the tail end. He got out there right at the head of it, but he's had to let all these cars go by, and it's going to be some traffic for him to overcome. This is a break for Leroy, who's up near the front. If Leroy can break clear, he may be able to close behind Petty, and we'll see a real race of it before the checkered flag waves at the end of 400 turns of this 5/8 mile track.
This means very simply that at this point, Richard Petty's lead, he has not only lost that lap, but he is only about 2/3 of a lap, or should be when they restart the race, ahead of Leroy Yarborough. Field closing up a little bit now.
Jim, Petty made his stop on lap 267, which means he's got to go 133 laps on one 22-gallon tank full of gas. Now, the pit stops that have come so far in this race have been at 111 laps and then about 100 laps, so he's taking a long chance. It may be that at the very end he's going to have to dash in for just a slosh and could set up a dramatic finish.
Okay, well, we're waiting for starter Rufus Crumpler of Raleigh, North Carolina, to give them the green flag, and here it comes. They're racing again at North Wilkesboro. There you get an overhead look and a look too at the crowd and the cars crowded in the infield. It's a real springtime in the South site. There's Richard after Bobby Isaac, trying to put another lap on him immediately. He's the 3rd place car, number 71. At the moment, it's shaping up as strictly a 2-car race between Richard Petty and Leroy Yarborough. And there's Richard. Boy, that car has been running just magnificently this afternoon.
Richard hasn't had it easy, Jim. If you look closely when the car comes by, you can see the marks on the right side of the car and a few scratches on the left. He's been banging his way around this track.
Well, he's had to work hard ever since the start of this race. Remember that he started in 16th position because he had engine trouble on Thursday and had to qualify yesterday. That put him well back in the pack on the start, had his work his way past 16 cars to take the lead, and he did it in the first 52 laps. Bob Montgomery is standing by in the pits now with Wendell Scott, who just had the accident. You have him there, Bob?
Right down here beside me is Wendell Scott. Wendell, what happened to your car?
Well, it started missing, and then all at once it blew. It looked like the motor come all to pieces.
Well, you okay? How's the track out there today, Wendell?
Well, I wasn't handling too good. I was running some tires was too hard, and it just didn't handle good at all today.
Wendell, let me ask you something. You're the only Negro driver on the NASCAR circuit. How do the boys treat you, being of another race?
Well, they treat me all right. I don't think they even think about it.
Well, I certainly don't, and I'm sure everybody feels that way. Wendell Scott, who's come out of the race, a blown engine. Now back to you, Jim and Kate.
Bob, excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well, I wonder if you could ask Wendell. He's 48 years old now. How many years does he think he can go on with this?
Well, actually, there's a little argument between Bill Champion and Wendell Scott as to just who is the oldest. Wendell says Bill Champion is. Bill Champion says Wendell is. But how much longer do you think he can race, Wendell?
Well, I haven't even given that a thought, but I think Bill Champion is the oldest. He looked the oldest anyway.
How much longer do you plan to race?
I really haven't set a goal on when I'll retire, but at least 2 or 3 more years.
So there you have it, Jim. Now back to you.
Okay. Wendell had a pretty good answer there. He said Bill Champion's the oldest, he thinks, because he looks the oldest. Now back to the racing. There's Richard Petty, who is the leader, and now Bobby Isaac has gotten by Leroy Yarborough for second place. So it's car number 43, the lead car, followed by number 71, Isaac, and number 98, Leroy Yarborough. The battle at the moment for second. There is Leroy.
Jim, and looking at Petty's car on the track, it doesn't seem to be handling too well. It seems to be rather skittish out there. Whether this is the circumstance of the racing surface or the car, I can't tell you, but he's having trouble right now that he hasn't had all day long, and that is in getting by some of the slower cars. That's Richard Brooks directly in front of Richard Petty, one of the top independents, the Rookie of the Year on the NASCAR Grand National Circuit. And there he finally gets around and gives him a little bit of that right rear fender, but Brooks accepts the challenge and races him right into turn 1.
Richard Lee Petty of Randleman, North Carolina, 32 years old, birthday coming up on the 2nd of July. Father of 3 children, Kyle, Sharon, and Lisa, and the brother of a couple fellows in the pit crew, and the son of a great race driver, Lee Petty.
Among all the other things you can say about Richard Petty, Jim, is he has 100% attendance at NASCAR races. He makes them all. Last year he raced 52 times, and he plans to make every single race on the circuit this year of about 50 more events.
Richard Petty completing lap number 280 of 400 scheduled in this race. And so the race goes on at North Wilkesboro Speedway in the hamlet of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
One wilting afternoon, Olive, Bean, and Walnut were trying to escape the shrivels when they ran into Hat, a Lincoln National Financial Planner. Hat described the cooling virtues of a Lincoln National Plan future. Cantankerous Walnut was not impressed. The Lincoln Hat told Olive, a man of substance, how he could use a computerized blend of life and health insurance, annuities, and other investments to translate his love for his family into a sound financial plan. And the Lincoln Hat told young Bean how he could protect his family from foul winds with life insurance while he's long on future and short on cash. Walnut still was not impressed. Suddenly, quick as a wink, a squirrel carried Walnut off to that great tree in the sky. Better he be carried away with life insurance. Call your Lincoln National Financial Planner today.
We're nearing the 3/4 mark in a 400-lap race at the North Wilkesboro, North Carolina Speedway. Grand National Stock Car Race. Richard Petty, the leader, in car number 43, followed by number 71, Bobby Isaac, number 98, Leroy Yarborough, on the same lap with him, but almost a lap behind. And then another lap back, number 48, James Hillman. All of these drivers from the South here, each with their own individual rooting section. In fact, you will see many of the youngsters around here with T-shirts on that don't have anybody's name on them. They simply have the number 43 for Richard Petty, or 27 for Donnie Allison, or 98 for Leroy Yarborough, 71 for Bobby Isaac.
At the halfway point, Jim, we're pretty good from the standpoint of failures. Only a few cars out of the race. Larry Manning of Richmond, Virginia, number 5, is out. Ed Negri of Dillon, South Carolina, number 8, is out of it. Johnny Halford in number 54, out of it. And, of course, Donnie Allison, number 27, and Wendell Scott. Frank Warren in car 76, another driver whose car's in the pits, out of it for the afternoon.
And right now, Richard Petty is taking out after Leroy Yarborough yet again to try to get that lap on him. Remember, the 3 cars are on the same lap at the moment. Petty, Bobby Isaac, and Leroy Yarborough. Leroy Yarborough, number 98, trying to avoid being lapped by the leader, number 43, Richard Petty. This, by the way, is the first time we've ever brought you a NASCAR stock car race live on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Remember that Bobby Isaac in car number 71 is in second place right now. Bob Montgomery talked to him a little bit earlier today about how he'd feel if he were in second at this point in the race.
Bobby, if you're in second place, what thoughts are going through your mind, and what are you trying to do most?
Well, basically, if you're in second place, you react just about like you're in first place. You constantly try to keep the man ahead of you in vision and try to figure out someplace on the racetrack where you're gaining maybe a little bit of time on him, a car length, or even 2 car lengths in a corner or off of a corner, and then you concentrate on that point. And, well, you're constantly worried about catching up or somebody catching up with you. Either leading the race or you're running second. It's a lot of things go through your mind.
So those were the pre-race thoughts of Bobby Isaac as to how he might feel at this point if he were in second place. That's where he is. Now here is Richard Petty trying to lap Leroy Yarborough, and he's very close to doing it. There he comes, getting his nose out in front of Leroy. Moving through traffic on this 5/8 of a mile track in North Wilkesboro. And with Leroy safely lapped, that means that only Bobby Isaac is now on the same lap with Richard Petty. 291 laps have gone by. There is Mrs. Richard Petty, by the way, the wife of the leader, keeping score with, obviously, great interest as the race progresses.
Two first place, the 2 leading cars, Jim, are 1970 models, Petty in a Plymouth and Leroy Yarborough in a Ford. A great number of the cars in today's competition are 69s and 68 models.
Richard Petty last season won just short of $110,000 on the NASCAR circuit. Very much of a matinee idol down here in the Southland. All the young girls love Richard. He is considered to be extremely handsome. And he's got long sideburns now that make him look like a Confederate war hero. The average speed at 280 laps is 92.092 miles per hour. But let's see what the leader is averaging right now. We'll get a time on him for 1 lap and then convert that to miles per hour. Remember, he's averaging 92.092. The average speed slowing up, as it almost always does in a race as the laps go by. .22.1 seconds. That's tremendously fast. That would be 101.809 miles an hour, over 100 miles an hour. That's more like qualifying speed.
And you wonder why, with the big edge that he has over the entire field. Some drivers establish a rhythm, the car works well at a certain speed, and the driver feels good, so he just maintains it, despite the slowdown signals from his pit crew.
Bobby Isaac, in second place in this race right now, is another NASCAR veteran. He's 36 years old, has been on the big-time tour since 1961. There is the leader. Let's get a relationship shot between him and the second place, Bobby Isaac. Now, there goes the leader. And we, back over here, is number 71, Bobby Isaac. In other words, it's getting very close to a lap behind. He has about 3/4 of a lap on the second place car. Some word from the pits now from Bob Montgomery. Bob?
Here in the pits, I'm standing beside Harry Hyde.
Wait, excuse me, there's
trouble on his
somebody
side.
blowing an engine.
Dave Marcus coming up with some smoke there. Harry Hyde pointed it out. Harry, you're riding in second place.
Okay, excuse me, Bob. We'll come back down to you, but there is Dave Marcus with smoke pouring from the rear of his car. The yellow flag has not come out, however, so apparently he is not dropping any debris on the race course, Chris.
Well, there may not be any debris there, but there could very well be oil. This yellow flag would cement, a yellow flag now would cement the race for Petty because he could come into the pits, get some gas, and then not have to worry about what happens in the future. However, there's no yellow flag, and apparently they're going to continue on. So Petty's gamble on fuel remains a question mark.
Starter Rufus Crumpler allowing the race to continue. There's number 30, Dave Marcus from the Midwest, one of the northern drivers who have begun to infiltrate, you might say, this southern tour of NASCAR. And there's Richard, who would, I would think, be very careful at this point to avoid any oil that might have been dropped. Apparently there is none, though.
You can see the marks on the side of Marcus's car where the front wheel of another car got in there during the early jamming. He's nosing it in. He's out of it.
Okay, now, Bob Montgomery, please excuse us for interrupting you before, but we seem to have this situation straightened out. Back to you in the pits.
Okay, what we want to ask Harry is, Harry, Bobby Isaac is in second place. Do you think you can catch Richard?
Yes, we're saving some of our tricks for the last part of the race. We're hoping to come on real strong in the last 100 miles, 100 laps that's left.
Have you had any problems with the automobile? Well, notice you slowed down at the beginning of the race. Have you had any problems?
Yes, they have two different types of tires here today, and we're gambling with one type, and Richard and him is gambling with the other type of a tire. And we think we're going to be stronger at the end.
Here's wishing you luck, Harry. Harry Hyde, the chief mechanic on Bobby Isaac's automobile. Incidentally, Chris, you especially will know about this. Here today, they are not using the inner liner on the tires. This is because with so much braking being done, the brakes have a tendency to heat up that inner liner and melt it, and of course you have a flat. So they're going without the inner liners here today. Now back to you in the booth.
Okay, we're back up top again. Jim McKay with Chris Economaki. That was Bob Montgomery down in the pit area. There's the leader, number 43, Richard Petty. And we've been discussing the second place car driven by Bobby Isaac. You know, Chris, looking in the records, Bobby came on the trail in 1961, and between then and 1968, he only won one race. Then he won 3 races in 1968, and last year burst out with 17 wins, including a super speedway win. What caused that sudden surge in his fortune?
Well, he just felt that the luck that he'd had in the past had been very, very poor. Most of those victories, as you just said, were on the short tracks, and 100% attendance is what he had on the short tracks. He does very well on these little tracks. He just hasn't been able to go well on the big tracks. Petty, though, is giving him a fit this year. Petty having 2 victories out of the 9 races run so far this year. And when it's all over with, these boys that race week in and week out will have a big total behind them. Petty, on the track right now, seems to be going higher and higher on the racetrack, getting very close to the outside guardrail on his entry into the turns.
And you had a look at the crowd of about 15,000 people gathered here in the green fields outside North Wilkesboro. Were it not for the racetrack, this would be pure farmland for as far as you could see. Average speed at 307 laps, 93.643 miles per hour, and we'll be back in a minute.
He's coming off! Throw the ball! Throw the ball! Slave! What do you mean, slave?
Oh, that's 8 runs they scored.
Well, it's only the first inning. We're not through yet.
Come through with this pipe.
What's the matter?
I don't know. Smoke's rough.
Oh? Don't blame your pipe. Could be your tobacco.
That's Sir Walter Raleigh? Any different?
Try it.
Smells grand. Packs right. Tastes great. Can't bite. Sir Walter Raleigh stays fresh in the thermal sealed pouch.
Well?
Okay.
Like I said, don't blame the pipe.
Okay, gang, let's go out there. Go on, baby. Oh, boy, go.
Try Sir Walter Raleigh, the quality pipe tobacco of America. Pouch or canister.
We're back to our live coverage of the Grand National Stock Car Race at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina on ABC's Wide World of Sports. And there are the standings. They continue the same. Richard Petty, the leader. Bobby Isaac, second. Lee Yarborough, third. And James Hilton is fourth. Down in the pits, Bob Montgomery is standing right now with Dave Marcus of Black River Falls, Wisconsin, who just a couple of minutes ago, we believe, blew an engine. What was the problem, Bob?
Jim, we haven't been able to get Dave out here yet. We'll have him in just a moment if you'll let us get back to you in just a moment.
Okay. Take your time. We'll look at the racing on the track. That's what we're here for. Number 48 there is James Hilton, who is in 4th place. Number 32 is Dick Brooks of Porterville, California, who was the Rookie of the Year last year on the NASCAR circuit. Now we understand Bob has Dave Marcus. Down to you, Bob.
Well, outside is Dave Marcus. And Dave, what happened out there?
I don't know, Bob. I guess we burned a piston.
Well, apparently you didn't put any oil out on the track because the caution flag didn't come out. You got the car all around okay.
Well, I felt the car slowing down, and I got to looking at the gauges, and everything was all right there, but it's smoking so bad, so I guess we burned a piston. So we just brought it in.
Dave, you're from Wausau, Wisconsin. How do you find racing over here on the East Coast?
I like it real well over here. It's a fine circuit, a nice bunch of boys, and everybody runs real hard.
Dave Marcus of Wausau, Wisconsin. He's out of the race now, but there'll be another time. Good luck, Dave.
Thank you, Bob.
Now back. Yep.
Okay, Bob, thank you very much. Again, we're on the leader, Richard Petty, number 43 of Randleman, North Carolina. Continuing to lap slower cars. And there is number 71, the second place car. Soon it appears Petty will be moving up and trying to lap him. They're on the same lap at the moment, remember. But there is Petty closing in.
Now, the track here, Jim, is a little bit different on one side than the other. It's semi-banked in racing parlance with a nice tilt to the turns, but the back straightaway is uphill, deceptive, and the drivers say that the entry into turn 3 is a little bit deceiving because of a hump going in. It's downhill down the front stretch through this very fast first and second corners, and because of the uphill run into turn 3, it's a wee bit slower through that portion of the circuit.
Okay, well, they're between turns 3 and 4 right now, and they actually come downhill out of this 4th turn as they go toward the finish line. Perhaps you can see it there in that shot. And there you see Petty in the blue car closing in on the red car, which is second place Bobby Isaac. One thing about this no side windows this year, you can see the drivers a little bit better, Chris.
In a race of this nature, Jim, they would not have used the side windows even if they were allowed. The windows are used on the super speedways for aerodynamic reasons. Here, it just doesn't make too much difference because the speeds, the top speeds achieved here, about 105 or 6 miles an hour on the straightaway, aerodynamics are not really a factor, and that's why we do not see the cars with the wings on them in this race this afternoon and those sloped noses. They're considerations for aerodynamic running where we don't need that on this track. You know, the 1970 model Plymouth that Richard Petty is driving is a Roadrunner. He uses a Roadrunner Superbird at places like Talladega, where our championship racing special aired live last Sunday.
North Wilkesboro, by the way, is one of the oldest tracks on the NASCAR circuit. Opened way back in 1947, 23 years ago, but it was dirt in those days. Here are the leaders in the Grand National chase so far this year. As you see, Richard Petty is the leader. Cale Yarborough second, Donnie Allison third, Bobby Allison fourth, and Buddy Baker fifth. That's in number of laps. As we said, this is one of a series of about 50 races over the course of the season that will determine the 1970 Grand National NASCAR champion. And this one counts just as much as far as the points earned are concerned as all points earned at the super speedways. Next weekend, they'll be moving on April 26th to Martinsville, Virginia, and the Virginia 500. And on May 9th, we'll have another live race for you on ABC's Wide World of Sports. We'll be at Darlington, South Carolina, the first of the super speedways in point of time for color coverage of the Rebel 400. That's on May 9th on ABC's Wide World of Sports. And those of you in the Martinsville, Virginia area, be sure to take in that race a week from tomorrow. And still we have Richard Petty moving up, trying to lap the second place car, Bobby Isaac.
If Isaac can just keep him behind him, Jim, and we have another yellow flag, that'll move Isaac right up behind Petty and give him some heat in the closing laps.
Yeah, this race at this moment has that deceptively settled look that so many of our races seem to have just before everything busts loose.
Isaac is using different tires than most of the other drivers on the circuit. He elected to use a narrower tire that was in vogue last year, while everyone else used a wider 1970 Goodyear tire. Isaac won the pole with these tires, but everyone told him that when the track got greasy and got some stuff on it, that those tires would not be as fast in the latter stages of the event as they were in the beginning. And we're finding out now that he's able to hold Richard Petty at bay, which is a little bit surprising according to the experts.
There's a certain hypnotic effect, too. After you watch these cars for a while, they appear to be going not quite as fast as they really are. Remember, they're going just under 100 miles an hour average speed for a lap. That means that on the straightaways, they're up somewhere around 110, 120 miles an hour. Let's go down to Bob Montgomery again. He has one of the most famous names in the history of NASCAR stock car racing. Now a car owner, formerly a driver, Junior Johnson.
Alongside is Junior Johnson. His automobile is in third place, but Junior, you're a lap back. Can you do anything about it at this point?
I don't think so unless Richard Petty has a problem. I don't believe we're going to be able to catch up with him because he's running about 30 hundredths a lap better than we are, and we can't overtake him and him outrun us that much.
What's the problem, Junior? Any particular thing you can lay it on?
Don't seem like we're handling quite as good as he is. We're running all right, but we're not handling quite as good as he is.
And certainly on a track of this type, you have to handle as well as have speed. Now back to you, Jim.
Okay, Junior Johnson, who owns the car on your screen now, number 98, driven by Leroy Yarborough. Junior Johnson, himself a former great NASCAR driver and the hero of this part of the country. He's from Rondo, North Carolina, which is right near North Wilkesboro. The leader is still Richard Petty. There he is trying to catch the second-place car and lap him, Bobby Isaac, but he still isn't quite able to do it. Isaac, the only car still in the same lap with him, but just about by a matter of feet. That's the story of the race right now. Bobby Isaac, number 71, trying to avoid being lapped by the leader, Richard Petty, number 43. But again, we would remind you that the lap here is very short. It's only 5/8 of a mile, and one short pit stop could make up that difference. We're in the final 100 laps now. And could it be that Richard Petty might be content to sit there for a little bit? Doesn't look like it. Going down low, coming out of turn 4 right now. This could be the time when he gets that lap, but he doesn't. Isaac holds him off again, and a little bit of a swerve.
Well, he's being pinched down by Isaac being in the ideal line, Jim, and his car wants to wander up high, and Richard had to hold it down there. And it seems to be wandering down the back straightaway. And what that problem is, I don't know. Earlier in the going, he was pushed into that cement backstretch wall and grazed it a little bit. But it didn't appear to affect the handling of the car. But now, the car seems to be squirrely, as the race drivers say. Whenever Richard tries to get a little bit more speed out of it, it tends to wander.
333 laps have now gone by. That means there are 67 laps left in the race. Not miles, laps. Each 5/8 of a mile. Two cars on the same lap, again, are Richard Petty and Bobby Isaac. One lap behind is number 98, Leroy Yarborough. Another lap back is number 48, James Hilton. And after that, it strictly also ran at this point.
Well, it's funny how a driver works on another driver, the way Petty is working on Isaac. He tries him for 3 or 4 laps, gets a little bit tired, and then takes a rest for a lap or 2, and then goes after the job at hand once again.
Richard down low, Bobby up high, and there he goes. He's got him. Richard Petty again has at least one lap on the entire field of cars here at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. A virtuoso performance this afternoon by one of the great drivers of the NASCAR trail. That happened on lap number 335. We now have 65 laps left. 64 now. Again, we would remind you that ABC's Wide World of Sports this afternoon is coming to you live and in color from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. The action will continue.
The Baja, scene of the most brutal road race in the world. It takes special cars to run the Baja, usually special tires, but a set of passenger car tires. Sears steel-belted radials ran the Baja without a single failure. And then we took those same tires and drove them thousands of safe, smooth miles on the highway. Sears steel-belted radial. The tire the Baja couldn't beat. Only at Sears Roebuck and Company.
These cars are brand new. So are the batteries. Watch. After 4.5 hours of steady drain, only one battery can start a car. The Sears Die Hard outlasts the new car batteries. The Die Hard starts your car when most batteries won't. Sold only at Sears.
Now takes a look at the environment Monday night on ABC.
One week before its 9th anniversary, ABC's Wide World of Sports is bringing you live coverage of a 250-mile, 400-lap Grand National Stock Car race from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. This is Jim McKay reporting with Chris Economaki up here with me in the commentary booth and Bob Montgomery down in the pits. There's the way this race stands. Richard Petty still the leader. There have been no changes of any kind since we left you a few minutes ago. Tomorrow, remember, NBA playoff action on ABC. There you see the reminder, the New York Knicks against the Milwaukee Bucks at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And that'll be the 4th game of the playoff. New York's won twice, but the Bucks beat them last night and can even the series if they win tomorrow afternoon. Should there be a 6th and 7th game necessary in that series, by the way, next Wednesday and Friday night, we'll be bringing you prime time coverage of it. That's if necessary, game number 6 on Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Game number 7, if necessary, that would be the final game of the series, Friday. Right now, live coverage of NASCAR stock car racing. There's a new big name on the NASCAR trail this year, by the way, and the young man comes not from the South, but surprisingly from the state of Maine. He's already won 2 super speedway races, one of them the Daytona 500, and just last Sunday on ABC's new racing series, you saw him win down in Alabama. So let's go down to Bob Montgomery with Pete Hamilton.
Well, Pete, it looks like that strategy has really been clicking off for you today. Richard picked out a high groove and right at the start of the race. He's been running higher than anybody else here today, and it looks like things are working just right.
Well, that's right. Richard, I think he felt that the high groove was where no one else was running. And when no one else is running up there, the track is not quite as slick, and as a result, you can run a little better up there and a little quicker without all the oil on the track.
I haven't detected any problems that you've had whatsoever. How is Richard feeling? Have you had a chance to exchange any words with him?
I think he feels pretty good. When you're a lap ahead of everyone else, I think you always feel pretty good. It was very important that Richard get that lap on Bobby Isaac because if he hadn't and a caution came out, Bobby would have made up that lap and it would have been very close to the finish. As it is right now, he's got a lap on everyone in the racetrack.
Well, Pete, why are you standing in the pits today? Normally you're out there racing.
Well, I came down to watch the race and help Richard if I could, and he didn't need any help today, so far anyway.
Certainly a big addition to the Petty family, Pete Hamilton of Dedham, Massachusetts.
Okay, thank you very much. Bob Montgomery with Pete Hamilton working in the pit today of Richard Petty because he himself is not racing. You heard him explain exactly why. Somebody said I said Maine a couple minutes ago. It's Massachusetts for Pete Hamilton.
He went to the University of Maine, Jim.
So both states can claim it. But the leader of the race is still Richard Petty, teammate of Pete Hamilton. There could be a year in which the Petty team is going to dominate this sport.
Of the 9 events run to date on the NASCAR Grand National Circuit, Jim, the Petty Plymouths have come home first on 4 occasions. So they're batting pretty well. It looks like they're going to make it 5 for 10 today.
These are the leading money winners so far this year. As you can see, Pete Hamilton won more than $80,000 already. Bobby Allison second is far behind him. Then Cale Yarborough, then Richard Petty, and then David Pearson. David Pearson was the Grand National Champion last year. He is not racing here this afternoon, and he's not among the top 10 in the 1970 standings. The leader in the Grand National Chase is the leader of today's race, Richard Petty. We'll be watching him live, and there's the second place car, Bobby Isaac, watching both of them in another minute.
He wouldn't dream of using the same deodorant that I use. I'm a woman. He's all man. He uses this, Command Tahitian Lime Antiperspirant. So effective, it's not even recommended for women. Command's made strictly to help stop a man's wetness, a man's odor. And only Command has Tahitian Lime. Coming, darling.
Command Tahitian Lime, the antiperspirant for men only. And I mean men.
If you've ever wondered why a man uses a hairspray, Command wondered too.
Because it holds.
Because it holds.
It holds.
Because it holds.
Because it holds.
It holds. Because it holds.
Because it holds.
Now, Command knows why a man uses a hairspray. Because it lets you comb your hair naturally, then holds it that natural way. Try Command.
The average speed of the Grand National Stock Car Race in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina at the 340 lap mark is 93.544 miles per hour, which is extremely fast on this kind of a race course. It's only 5/8 of a mile, remember, in circumference. The leader is Richard Petty. There's been no change while we're away. This is live coverage.
You know, Jim, Petty's line around this 5/8 mile track, so close to the outside rail in the turns and flat against it on the straightaways, is making him go perhaps, closer to 3/4 of a mile on the way around, because the tracks are measured about midway around the line. So this gasoline situation, Maurice Petty said, we think we can make it. And of course, in this kind of racing, they always hope for a yellow flag where they can dash in and get a little bit of fuel. But here, with lap times being what they are, if Petty has to stop on the green for gas, Isaac could very easily make up the difference.
Well, there is the Petty pit right now, and they look calm and fully confident as of this moment. There's their race car out on the course. This has been a race remarkably free of incidents, particularly for a tight little race course like this. You had a field of 30 cars starting out on this tight 5/8 of a mile course, and yet all of the incidents, there are 40 laps to go now, by the way, just 40 remaining. All of the incidents have basically been one-car incidents. Donnie Allison went up against the wall, but did not touch another car. Wendell Scott had his problem all by himself, and so did Dave Marcus.
19 of the 30 starters are still out there on the track, Jim, meaning that only 11 cars have fallen by the wayside. And with the exception of Allison's car, which got some damage when it hit the fence, all have been for mechanical reasons.
So Richard Petty has more than a lap on every car on this field. Closest to him is still Bobby Isaac. We'll try to get a speed on Richard next time he comes around. Time a lap and then convert it for you to miles per hour as we did before. The weather's still perfect. A beautiful spring afternoon. So there goes the clock. It should be somewhere around 22, 23 seconds. Richard not in any particular traffic at this point. So it should be quite an accurate time to give you an idea of how exactly he is going at this point in the race.
That's Friday Hassler, number 39, that Petty is taking the high ride around.
22.2, my goodness, that's fast. 101.351 miles per hour.
Racing has come a long way. 60 miles an hour years ago used to be good time on a track this size.
All right, we're waiting now for the second place car to come through to show you the relationship. Well, there you see the leader again, and now here's the second place car. Remember, he's more than a lap behind. So I think we'll try that relationship for you again. From the second place car, we're moving forward to find eventually the first place car. As you can see, he's well more than a lap ahead. There is the leader, 43. Richard Petty. We mentioned earlier that Richard's father, Lee Petty, was a great NASCAR driver in his own time. Also a man who was in one of the more spectacular accidents of all time down at Daytona, wasn't he, Chris?
It was unbelievable. In the early days of the Daytona Speedway, he and Johnny Bokamp went completely out of the park, and it was that accident and the resultant hip injury that led to his eventual retirement from the position behind the wheel, only to become one of the really great team managers that stock car racing has ever known.
Okay, well, very soon we'll be finding out whether or not Richard Petty can make it all the way without having to come in under the green flag for more fuel. That could make the difference in this race. There you see the standings, and we'll be back live in North Carolina in a minute.
Here's the only place I know of where you get a second chance in life. The International Dateline. Cross it, and you get to spend yesterday all over again. That's worth celebrating. With all the gusto you can grab, even in the beer you drink. Why settle for less? When you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer.
30 laps, just 30 remain in the running of the Grand National race at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, and there is the lead car, Richard Petty, car number 43, going at an average speed of 93.913 miles per hour. Very fast. Petty, gas okay. That's the big clue from the Petty pit. Will it be okay for 30 laps, however? That's the question.
Well, what they do, Jim, is they gauge how much it took on the last stop and figure from that. And apparently, their gamble is going to pay off.
There's the third place car, number 98, Leroy Yarborough. More than a lap down. Well, here's an interesting little story on career victories, active and inactive. Richard Petty's won 103, as you see. David Pearson way behind him at 57. Then Daddy Lee Petty with 54 victories. Then a tie Ned Jarrett and Junior Johnson with 50. Herb Thomas with 49. And Buck Baker, he is the father of Buddy Baker, with 46.
Now, Richard Petty's career winnings, Jim, total $721,454 going into this competition. And with the money that his father won before him, I'm sure that the Petty family has grossed, if not more than, close to $1 million in this sport.
Again, that was a relationship shot, and now we go back again to the leader, trying to show you the distance between the leader and the second place car. Remember, it's this much, right? That much plus one lap. He's that much and a lap ahead of Bobby Isaac in car number 71. Again, from the standpoint of experience, we point out once more that on this track alone, on this little 5/8 of a mile track, Richard Petty has run more than 5,000 laps, or about 2,600 miles.
5,400 when the checkered flag waves today.
That's right. Well, there he is passing another slower car, number 32, Dick Brooks of Porterville, California, who is no slouch. He was named the Rookie of the Year in the NASCAR circuit last season. His home, Randleman, Richard Petty's home of Randleman, North Carolina, is just about 75 miles from here. And if you're still trying to locate North Wilkesboro, North Carolina in your atlas, it's about 50 miles from Winston-Salem. That's about the closest I can come for you.
In the heart of the racing country.
Maurice, how do you feel right now? You just gave Richard a signal, gas okay. Does that mean you can go the rest of the way?
We can go the rest of the way without any unforeseen trouble.
You've been doing some sliding, I understand, over on the back side. What is this?
The track's getting awful slick.
You picked a high groove right from the start. You having any problems with it? Would you have done it any other way? I don't guess so. You're an idiot.
They run a lot better up high.
Maurice Petty says they can go all the way, Jim. Well, back to you.
Okay, Bob, thanks. Bob Montgomery with Maurice Petty, the brother of Richard Petty and a member of his crew. And if you missed his comment there, he said the reason for that wiggling is that the track is getting awfully slippery.
That slippery track situation, Jim, seems to be affecting Petty a bit more than the other drivers. Of course, Petty is going faster than anyone else on the racetrack now. And, of course, the faster you go, the adhesion is a more important factor. He might move down a little bit later on, but he's certainly taking the high road here and getting the most of it, pulling away now from Bobby Isaac in the number 71 Dodge.
At this point in the race, it looks more and more like Richard Petty just has it wrapped up. Looking on in the pits with the sunglasses, there is Pete Hamilton, a young man who's won more than $80,000 so far this year and is a teammate of Richard Petty, not racing today because of the simple fact that preparing two automobiles for all 50 races of the NASCAR circuit would be all but an impossibility. That is, to do it well. So Pete just races mostly in the super speedway races.
To give you an idea of the amount of work necessary to keep a racing stock car and racing trim for these week-in and week-out events, Petty Engineering over in Randleman has 16 full-time employees. And they're kept busy all the time preparing these two cars for the 70 events in which they'll participate. 50 for Richard Petty and 20 for Pete Hamilton.
I once had a car that needed that many in the pit crew, but I didn't have. There are only 19 laps left in the race. Another message coming up for Richard Petty. +8. +8 seconds plus a lap over Bobby Isaac. And there is the second place car. We'll soon be coming up on the mark where we have only 15 laps left in the race, and that's not very much, so let's go away for a minute and then come right back.
You start with an idea. It grows into a business. The business means greater responsibilities. Management problems get more complex. You take on a partner, 2 partners, 3. Growth, expansion, change. John Hancock knows all about it from first-hand experience. That's why we know how to help you as you grow with stock redemption plans, key man coverage, cross-purchase agreements, or other complicated financial services that can help you manage the growth of your business. So no matter how large your business or how small, when you think of your growing insurance needs, think of your John Hancock man. His business is protecting yours.
John Hancock, huh?
Less than 15 laps to go in the 250-mile stock car race, Grand National Stock Car Race in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. The leader, Richard Petty, car number 43. And now there are 14 laps left. He's that close to wrapping it all up. He's trying to become only the second man in NASCAR history to win the Grand National title 3 times. David Pearson's won it 3 of the last 4 years. But Richard's leading this year and is far ahead of David. There's the second place car of Bobby Isaac, who last year had his finest season by far on the circuit, winning 17 races, including his first victory on a super speedway. That came in Texas in December of last year. And this is the time at any automobile race where the crowd begins to shift a little bit. The people in the pits begin to move around. They're getting restless now to see it all over. And yet it's restlessness combined with that feeling of, is nothing going to happen? Is he going to make it okay? 10 laps to go. And again, the relationship back to the second place car. That much, remember, plus 1 lap. And now back to the leader again. And it's 9 laps to go. The average speed at 380 laps was 94.246 miles per hour. In a race that has been remarkably clean in the way it has been run, remarkably free of incident. Second place, Bobby Isaac.
Richard's turning the track, Jim, in 22 and 7/10 seconds, which is just a second off the record established in qualifying by Bobby Isaac here on Thursday. Remarkable speed that he's maintaining throughout this contest with that nice high groove that he's found that's all his own.
I should think, Chris, that driving on a tight track like this would produce a tremendous exhaustion factor. You don't have those long straightaways to barrel down like you do at Daytona or Talladega.
Well, not only that, turning in the turns, Jim, requires a lot of twist to the steering wheel, the shoulders and arms. You get a much more strenuous workout on a track like North Wilkesboro than they do at Daytona or Talladega. And then again, there's the brake applications, which must come at the right moment every lap. 800 of them in this 400-lap contest.
6 laps to go in the race, less than 6 now. We'll start counting them off for you now. It's just a matter of Richard Petty lasting the race, having enough fuel, which they have told him he does have, and staving off any possible trouble. Again, the relationship, waiting for Bobby, Isaac that is. I think he went by there just a moment ago. Here we come with Richard, however. 5 laps to go in the race. 5 laps.
Rufus Crumpler, the starter, has got his hand out telling the entire field that there's 5 to go. And in NASCAR racing, when the leader takes the checkered flag, the flag is then waved over every other car on the track. The finishers are not run out as they are at Indianapolis to allow them to complete the full distance.
And now there are 4 laps to go for Richard Petty. They say in the sport of pocket billiards, playing for 4. And all is still well. Again, the relationship, the second place car, Bobby Isaac is there. Playing for 3. It's all but over now. It'll be 2 laps for Richard Petty. Now the white flag will come out, the white flag that will indicate to Richard that he has only 1 more tour of this course to win the race. The white flag that says 1 to go and you're home, Richard. The starter, Rufus Crumpler, giving it to him. There's the white flag, 1 lap for Richard Petty, and now the checkered flag will come out. Live racing from North Carolina on a beautiful spring afternoon. First picnic of the season down here on Wide World of Sports. Stand by for the checker. The crowd on its feet, ready to wave, ready to greet their hero in North Carolina. Richard Petty is the winner of the Grand National 250-mile, 400-lap race at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Adding 100 more points to his total so far this year in the Grand National standings. 100 points to the winner, 98 to the second place car, 96 to the third place car, and by 2-point diminishments from there on down the line. The happy crew of Richard Petty. They don't have to jump up and down too much because they've been anticipating victory for so long. He took the lead on lap number 52 and never gave it up. Starting in 16th position. Here are the final standings. Richard Petty, the winner. There's Pete Hamilton waiting for his teammate to come in, the blonde fellow there. Bobby Isaac was second. Leroy Yarbrough, number 98, was third. James Hilton, number 48, was fourth. Dick Brooks, in number 32, was fifth. And Bobby Allison, brother of Donnie, was sixth when the race was over. A Plymouth winning, followed by a Dodge, 2 Fords, a Dodge, and a Plymouth.
It's an impressive victory scheme that Plymouth has rung up this year. In the 10 races held to date, Plymouth has won 5, Dodges have won 2, as have Ford, and Mercury's taken 1 victory on the NASCAR Grand National Circuit.
And now here is Richard bringing his car to a halt, and some kids have gotten loose out of the grandstand. You're going to see a crowd around that automobile in just a moment here. They love just to get down here and touch the automobile, let alone actually rub elbows with the winning driver. Bob Montgomery is down in that pit area in the confusion somewhere.
Just handed him a wet cloth to wipe his face with. And the man gets out of his automobile right now. And first of all, I know you want a sip of whatever you got there, Richard. Go ahead and take that, and we'll talk to you. This is the 6th time that Richard Petty has come into victory circle here at North Wilkesboro. Richard, you came from the 16th spot, took over that lead, and you kept it.
Yeah, it worked out real good, really. I started in the backer, and it gave me a chance to really sort of search around and find a groove, and I think I found the groove before the rest of the boys did, and that put me a lap ahead of them, and then they couldn't never catch up.
Richard, the track got a little slick out there, didn't it? You were sliding a little bit toward the last of the race.
Well, it was extremely slick, and it started off that way, and like I say, I think I found the groove to begin with. I moved up against the wall where it wasn't so slick, and this enabled me to really just about lap everybody before they found out what was going on, and by then it was too late.
Well, this makes victory number 5 for the Petty team. You're headed on that way for that Grand National Championship for the 3rd time, apparently.
Well, I don't know about the championship. Really, all we're interested in is winning the races. If we win enough of them, we'll win the championship.
Richard Petty, the winner here at North Wilkesboro for the 6th time. And now back to you, Jim.
Okay, Bob, a fine job down in the pits today by Bob Montgomery. The final average speed of the race is 95.210 miles per hour. 95.210, a tremendous pace on this short course racetrack in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. And now for the crowd, it's going to be a long ride off into the hill towns that surround us here. You go a little bit further west, you get up into the mountains, the towns like Asheville and on even further higher. I was surprised to find when we came down here, by the way, that there's lots of skiing in the wintertime in North Carolina now, if you can believe it. 3 or 4 big resorts. We're going to be returning here in just another minute for a final wrap-up on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Every year, 35 airlines squeeze all their passengers into one customs and immigration building in New York. So up until now, the only way to get through customs fast was to get there first.
Harold, we're counting on you to get us a baggage cart. Remember, Mildred, you save us a place in line, then signal me with the handkerchief. Watch it! You never know who your competition is. Now, Harold, let's go.
To put an end to the pushing and shoving and running, TWA just built the only private customs building, and we don't have to share it with any other airline. With TWA's private customs building, nobody has to fight the crowds anymore.
Customs? Yes. Wow, what happened to the crowds?
Somehow, you feel more important on TWA.
Well, the celebration continues live at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina for the Tar Heel hero in his home state, Richard Petty, winner of this afternoon's 250-mile race, now talking on the public address system to the crowd here gathered. A crowd of about 15,000 people, real good turnout on a Saturday afternoon. These are working people. Most of them work Saturday morning and anticipate all through the morning getting out here, hoping the weather will be good to see the big race of the year. They have 2 big ones here, one in the spring and one in the fall, and they're just about the 2 big days of the year.
Jim, the race today was worth $38,400. That was the prize fund that was posted for the drivers to win. And Richard Petty will get $3,875 from the Speedway for his victory, plus accessory money, spark plug tire and things of that nature, that will run his total day's pay to something around $5,500. Bobby Isaac in second place will get $3,300 some dollars, and Leroy Yarborough $2,275.
Well, you know, Chris, next Saturday, ABC's Wide World of Sports celebrates its 9th anniversary. And as we move into our 10th season on ABC, the event we're going to bring you, there's the trophy. Richard has it. Big smile. The event we'll bring you next week will be the same classic we covered as our first foreign telecast back in 1961, the FA Cup Final for the Soccer Championship of England. For more on that, here's Danny Blanchflower, one of the great all-time names in British soccer, and our expert commentator next week at Wembley Stadium in London.
Well, thank you, Jim. And here at Wembley Stadium in London, England, it is time once more for one of our great sporting rituals, the FA Cup Final. As a sporting contest, the Cup Final is something similar to your great Super Bowl game, only ours has a traditional flavor that goes back to the last century. And this season's match promises to be a really great one between 2 of the best teams in the land. Leeds United, last season's champions, league champions, are an invincible team, something similar to what Vince Lombardi's Green Bay Packers used to be. And Chelsea, the Londoners, are the up-and-coming team. They are out to beat the Invincibles today. And 100,000 people here are ready to watch the match, and they are the lucky ones. Millions outside would love to have a ticket, and the black market prices have been very high. This game will be televised to 30 nations, and over 200 million people will watch it. It's something very special that ABC Wide World of Sports will be bringing to you next week for their 9th anniversary presentation. And I hope that you won't miss it, that you'll join us here. And meanwhile, back to Jim McKay in North Carolina, which is a hell of a way from here.
Okay, Danny. Thank you very much. Danny Blanchflower, our expert commentator next week for the FA Cup final, and believe me, I think it's going to be a grand and glorious afternoon as we celebrate our 9th anniversary. There's Richard Petty, a man who's had a hard afternoon's work, but one that turned out just as good as he could possibly have hoped for. He won the race, which is the object of the game. Richard Petty, the winner in a Plymouth, second place to Bobby Isaac in a Dodge, third place to Leroy Yarborough in a Ford. Another Ford driven by James Hilton was fourth. Fifth place went to Dick Brooks in a Dodge, and sixth place to Bobby Allison in another Plymouth. As for Richard here, going up into the stands now, very intimate touch here on the small-town racetrack in North Wilkesboro. Richard started out in 16th position because he didn't qualify on Thursday, had engine trouble, qualified yesterday. Starting from 16th position, he passed 7 cars on the first lap, 2 more on the second lap. By the 52nd lap, he had the lead, and by the 113th, he had lapped the second-place car. From there on, it was a breeze all the way for the scion of the Petty family. Our thanks to Bob Montgomery in the pits, and as always, to our colleague, Chrissy Cutamacki, up here in the booth with me. Got a final 10-seconder, Chris?
Well, it was 18th time Richard started on this track, and he's won $27,960, and today's winnings put him over $30,000 at this little piece of real estate.
You do have a clock in your head, don't you? That was 10 seconds, and that's about it. The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Roone Arley. The coordinating producer, Jim Spence. This Grand National Stock Car Race telecast was produced by Ned Steckel and directed by Lou Volpicelli. Our associate producer, Jeff Mason. The associate directors, Bernie Hoffman, Don Olmeyer, and Jim Jeanette. Technical directors, Walt Kubelis and Gina Fronting. Don't forget tomorrow afternoon on ABC, the NBA playoff game. The New York Knicks against the Milwaukee Bucks, their 4th game. That's at 2 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow afternoon. And next Saturday, our 9th anniversary show, the FA Cup English Soccer Championship from London. For now, this is Jim McKay with Chrissy Cutamacki and Bob Montgomery saying so long from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Air travel arrangements made through and promotional consideration furnished by TWA, the sportsman's airline. Whether you're a sports spectator or a participant, TWA is your kind of airline. We go where the action is. And that's today's story.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This has been ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Brought to you by Schlitz. Grab for all the gusto you can. When you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer. By John Hancock Insurance Company, the growing and changing life insurance company for your growing and changing life. And by Trans World Airlines. Somehow you feel more important on TWA.
Inspector Erskine follows the trail of a hijack gang cross-country to prevent a murder on the FBI tomorrow night at 8, 7 o'clock Central Time. Then stay tuned for more adventure as Sophia Loren, Stephen Boyd, and Omar Sharif star in The Fall of the Roman Empire on the Sunday Night Movie here on ABC.